Hello everybody and welcome to this very exciting video that we have lined up for you today, where we are going into a bit more detail in some of the companies that we just ran over in one of our recent videos covering electric vehicles. If you haven't checked out this video yet, please see the link here in the video. What we feel is missing a little bit is to go into a bit more simple but detailed overview around these companies. What are the differences between them? Which kind of customer segment do they focus on? How much revenue are they gaining? How far are they with their technology? Who are they backed by? Which countries do they focus on? How many cars do they have? So these are some of the elements that we are going to run over for you today to give you a better understanding of what these companies are about. You have now obviously had some time to have a look at the four companies, but we thought it would be good to just do a quick run over them. We have NIO here, the biggest one with $74 billion in market cap. The share price is 54.13 and it was created in 2014. We have Xpeng, stock ticker XPEV. The market cap is a bit smaller with 48 billion and the share price is 67.02. It was created in the same year, however it was focusing the first 4 years in R&D, so it was only in 2018 that it launched its first model. Then we have Li Auto, stock ticker LI. The market cap is a bit smaller again with 36 billion and the share price is 43.12. It was created 1 year after in 2015 and was also focusing the first years on R&D. And finally we have one of the older companies, which is Kandi Technologies, stock ticker KNDY, and its market cap is around 1 billion, share price is 14.22, and it was already created in 2002 and has a lot more models on behind its belt. However, recently it is a bit further behind than the other three companies, and we're going to show this in this video. So just to kick off, we thought it would be interesting to see which kind of customer segment that these companies focusing on. NIO wants to be a premium brand, the China version of Tesla in the US. Xpeng is putting itself a little bit more as a middle class car. Li Auto, somewhere in the middle between the two, middle premium-ish kind of car. And Kandi is in the budget segment, the lowest of the lowest, and they have just launched the cheapest EV car on the market in the US. So we thought it would be good to have a look at the car sales of these companies and how the most recent quarter, 2020 Q3, stacks up against the previous quarter, 2002 Q2, and 1 year ago, 2019 Q3. What we can see is that NIO has grown massively, 254% within the last year and 18% since the previous quarter. Similar story with Xpeng, 266% in the last year and 166% in the most recent quarter. Li Auto, we do not have anything for 2019 as they first started selling cars in November 2019, but in the most recent quarter the sales grew with 31%. So across the board, quite good numbers. However, you need to bear in mind that these companies are not selling huge amount of cars. In the recent quarter, NIO is only selling 12,000, 8,000 approximately for Xpeng and a little bit more for Li Auto. So you obviously noticed that we do not have any sale numbers for Kandi Technologies. We simply couldn't find any number in their most recent Q3 report. However, we would say that out of the total revenue, which we are going to look at in a few seconds, it was only $500,000 US dollars that was attributed to what they call the EV products, where we suspect that the cars will fall under. So what does that tell us? It tells us that Kandi Technologies are almost selling no cars as of today. So if we go to the revenue section for the most recent quarter, we can see that NIO obviously has the highest one with around 666 million, which is no surprise given that they're the ones selling the most cars and they are targeting premium customers, so their cars cost more than, for example, Xpeng, who sells 2/3 the amount of cars, but they are getting less than half of the revenue from NIO. Li Auto has a little bit more sales than Xpeng, but they're also getting a little bit more per sold cars. Finally, we have Kandi Technologies here around $20 million for the quarter. As just mentioned, 500,000 was related to EV products. They half of it was related to off-road vehicles like ATVs, and the remaining part were related to EV parts. So what we could see on the sales setup is that NIO has their fully owned stores where you can buy the car. You have different ways besides that to do it. You can do over the app, etc. However, they're owning the stores that they are selling their cars through. The same with Xpeng. However, they also want to look at franchise deals. Li Auto fully owned stores, and Kandi is selling them through Geely stores in China, and in US, as far as we can see, can only be done pre-order and delivered from the factory, but we may be wrong on this. Geely, we will come in a bit further in that in the video. They are basically one of the majority owners of Kandi. Currently, NIO is only selling its vehicles in China. However, they have ambitions about expanding internationally. Xpeng has already done so, and they have sent some shipments to Norway, and it's going to be very interesting to see if they're going to be successful. Chinese companies do not have a great track record internationally, and Norway is probably one of the most difficult markets to enter into. So I believe that if Xpeng is successful there, it will tell a lot about how their growth journey in the European Union will unfold, and it can be a huge opportunity if they are successful. So it's something that I'm very excited about. Li Auto, similar to NIO, currently only focusing on China. Kandi Technologies is also in China, but it's actually US that is getting a bit of the attention at the moment, and they're launching 2 small models over there, the cheapest one on the market. Apparently the pre-order event that they had was a huge flop, so it's going to be very interesting to see if they're going to be successful. There has been issued a few videos here on YouTube with car reviews, which looks promising. However, with the first car reviews, I want to be a bit skeptical because you're not 100% sure whether the company has some kind of involvement in this. However, based on the videos, it looks interesting, and again, if Kandi Technologies can become successful in the US, whoa, that will tell a lot about how the future looks for this company. So if we take a look at how many EV car models the companies have made until today, we can see that NIO has done 3, Xpeng 2, Li Auto 1, and Kandi Technology has actually done 9. However, only 3 of them are active as of today, and 2 of them, K27 and K23, are the ones that they're shipping to the US. The next years, NIO expects to launch +4 new models, Xpeng +2, Li Auto the same. And with Kandi Technology, we're actually not aware, we couldn't find any information on this. So if there's any of you who have information about how many models Kandi expects to launch, please put a comment in the comment section. That would really be appreciated. In terms of model types, NIO has so far focusing on SUVs. However, in the next year they will most likely launch a minivan, a more subcompact SUV, and 2 different sedans. Xpeng focusing a bit more on the compact SUV and mid-size sedan. However, they want to challenge a bit NIO with a large SUV in the next 2 years. Li Auto today has a large SUV, but they want to expand to smaller SUV types. And Kandi has the city cars, the K23 and K27. However, they have also recently launched a small SUV, but we do not have a lot of information around this. So now we're moving a bit more into the technology side, and first we can look at the powertrain. And basically NIO, Xpeng and Kandi are all full electrical vehicles driven by batteries, whereas Li Auto has both electric and or hybrid gas, which is called extended range electric vehicles. There's a little bit of a debate whether this is an advantage or not. However, as of today, these EREVs, it's basically, they have gas powered generators that serves as backup power source when the battery pack runs low. So basically the battery pack is smaller, but it is generating enough power from the hybrid gas generator to offer greater range than what a pure electrical vehicle as the others have as of today. So it's not just on the range side that they get an advantage as of today, it's actually also on the price, because it is considerably cheaper to manufacture this. However, again, it may not be a huge advantage in the future. One of the things that today really differentiate the company is also the battery methodology. And basically NIO is going for the rental where customers can swap out their batteries. Xpeng today, it's on the purchase model. However, they also want to move into the rental model. One of the reasons for this is that the Chinese government is giving subsidies to companies that pursue this type of model. Li Auto, as of today, is only on the purchase model, and Kandi offers both the purchase and the rental swap offer. On the manufacturing of the batteries, there's also differences. NIO is having an external party to manufacture the batteries, while all the others are doing it internally. We personally prefer the companies that does it internally, so it reduces the dependency on other actors in the supply chain. On the manufacturing of the car, there's again a difference between the companies. NIO has again gone for the external part through the JV with Jack Motors, who are manufacturing the cars. Xpeng and Li Auto is doing it internally, and Kandi is doing it in JV with Geely. We would say again, we in general prefer the internal option. However, for Kandi specifically, we think it's a good idea to team up with a bigger player, as the company do not have strong financials. NIO has decided to let this be done externally. Again, it may be the best decision in the future. However, as just stated, we prefer to be done internally because we believe that can lead to some competitive advantages in the future. Next, we have self-autonomous driving, which for us is one of the most critical elements for the companies who is going to be standing out in the future. NIO, again, depending on external, they have teamed up with Mobileye, which is an Intel company, and they have the strategy to internalize it, but so far they're depending on external parties. Xpeng doing everything internally. Li Auto also doing it internally, but they are making a partnership with NVIDIA and Desay. And Kandi, as far as we know, are not developing self-autonomous driving competencies. So what we can see is that NIO and Xpeng are the furthest ahead, followed by Li Auto. Finally, we thought it would be good to look at the annual R&D spending, and as we can see here, NIO is spending the most with 380 million for the last year. Xpeng not too far behind with 291 million, and Li Auto a bit surprising, only 135 million, so quite significant difference from the two others. Kandi only 7 million, which is by no surprise. They are not as heavy tech focused than the others. They are more trying to play on the price parameter. It is also very interesting to see which entities these companies are supported or backed by. So for NIO, they have Tencent, which is obviously a huge Chinese technology conglomerate. They have Hillhouse Capital, and last but not least, the government through Hefei. And again, this is a very important point, because usually when the government supports a Chinese company and they basically picks the winner, it often means that this company is destined to succeed. So this is a very important point to note about NIO, that they have the backing from the Chinese government. And as we will see later, the government is moving some of its subsidies around the offerings of NIO in relation to the battery swap. Xpeng also have prominent companies, Alibaba and Jack Ma. They have Foxconn, which is one of the biggest suppliers of Apple. And finally, they have Li Jun, which is the owner of Xiaomi, which I think today is probably the biggest selling phone maker in the world. Li Auto has Li Xiang, which is the founder. They have Meituan, I'm not sure if that's pronounced the correct way, which is basically a big Chinese consumer platform. And they have ByteDance, which was the developer of apps like TikTok. Finally, we have Kandi, which is owned by Geely Group and Kandi Vehicles. And again, Geely Group is a huge car manufacturer in China, and I think this is a good owner for a company like Kandi. So as mentioned a few times in the video, the subsidies in China support for EV firms that manufacture cars with swappable batteries regardless of the price until 2022. So NIO was the first ones moving into the swappable batteries. Xpeng is trying to do the same now. Li Auto so far has not done this, and obviously they get some government subsidies, but there is a risk related to their existing hybrid model, in the sense that they may not get as much subsidies as some of the other companies. And Kandi, as we mentioned, are also focusing on swappable batteries. And interestingly enough, with all these companies, it's obvious to look at the China vision, which has a target for what they call new energy vehicles, which covers electric plug-in hybrids and hydrogen-powered cars, to account for 20% of the auto sales by 2025. And by 2035, all new sales have to be eco-friendly, with 50% being new energy vehicles and 50% can be regular hybrids. Today, the new energy vehicles only occupies around 5% of the Chinese market, which is still the biggest in the world. So this means there's huge growth opportunities for all these companies. Finally, we just wanted to highlight that there is also some risk related to these companies, and more specifically around technical issues, because they are young companies who do not have a lot of experience in manufacturing cars. And NIO in 2019 had to recall nearly 5,000, or half of the ES8 SUV model, after a series of battery fires in China. As far as we understand, Xpeng has not had anything so far, but it may come in the future. Li Auto during this year had to recall more than half of the electric vehicles sold over suspension issues. They said that it was just an upgrade that they called in the cars. However, there was other reasons behind. Kandi, as far as we know, do not have any issues, but again, their new models have just reached the market, so it will be interesting to see whether they will face any technical issues. Again, this is no surprise given the relative young companies that they are, and established companies like Volkswagen, Toyota, Tesla has had many issues where they had to recall cars back. But we just want to flag that for such immature companies, the risk may be a bit bigger, and it's therefore something that you have to be aware about. So what is the verdict from our side? Well, today we have position in two of the companies that we have run over. One of them is NIO. It's a smaller position that we have in them. The reason we have invested in NIO is primarily because they are backed by the Chinese government, which should be a key enabler for success, and they have also shown relatively strong sales growth. However, the one we like the most is definitely Xpeng. They are less dependent on external parties. They target a larger group of customers. They have interesting expansion plans both in China and internationally, and they are supported by some of the big guys. Li Auto, we don't have any position as of today, but we may enter into. However, the share price have increased quite significantly in the last week, so we may want to wait a bit for a pullback. The RSI is quite high for them. However, they've delivered quite strong sales growth in the recent quarter, and again, they're less dependent on external parties, and they seem to be focused on deliver good quality vehicles within the SUV segment, so kind of like a specialization that we also kind of like. Finally, we have Kandi. Little track record. US could be the differentiator for them. What is very interesting is that a few weeks ago they were announcing that they're going in to do a ride-sharing program in China, which is going to be done in 4 phases. If the first 2 pilot phases are successful, they will scale up from around 3,500 cars all the way up to 300,000 cars. So again, if this is successful, this will be a huge catalyst for Kandi and its share price. So it's not that we don't like Kandi, but we are not that comfortable investing in them yet unless it does a significant pullback from the current price. The sole reason is we are still not sure whether the US strategy will be successful, so we definitely want to wait until we see some more reviews on the cars and or some of the first sales numbers from the US. However, as we stated in our previous video, the opportunity in Kandi is huge if they become successful in the US and or the ride-sharing program in China, but it is, in our opinion, still a little bit more speculative play than the others, and we don't like the increase in share price as much as the others. We don't feel that it is justified. The others is also a little bit crazy in our opinion. However, we think that the prospects based on them investing in self-autonomous driving is a bit more justifiable. This was all we had for today. We really hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe for future content. Please like the video. Please provide a comment. We always appreciate that. It's very interesting discussion, and we know that you guys have a lot to offer and have maybe seen some things that we haven't covered in this video, or maybe not have stated 100% correct. So please help us in this. Please note that we are not financial advisors and we're only doing this for entertainment purposes. We hope you have a great day. Until then, see you next time and stay safe. Bye.